You're listening to the JustGoBike Podcast. We're all about the culture of bicycling just for the fun of it. Your host, Kathy Murphy from the Morphology Podcast and Andrea Parrott from Parrott Talk are joined by a wide variety of guests each week that delve into the social side of cycling. With tales from RAGBRAI Nation, come for the bikes, stay for the fun, and leave with a smile. And now, here are your hosts, Murph.
Hey, that's me.
And AP.
And that's me.
AP.
Murph, what's new?
Well, when this episode airs, hopefully I will be in Colorado somewhere riding my bike.
Ooh.
But, now at the time of this recording, I've been researching a possible/probable adventure in September.
I mean, it's certain, and I think you mean the Great Iowa Fall Ride.
Well, I will be doing that one for sure.
Yeah. And I know listeners, you probably heard us talk about it on this podcast many, many times, but September 14th is the Great Iowa Fall Ride. You should go to RAGBRAI.com to learn all about it, get registered. Enough about that. Find out more about it online or on previous episodes of JustGoBike Podcast. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure we have the link to that in the show notes. But what I want to know about is, what other adventures are you planning?
Okay. All right. So besides the Great Iowa Fall Ride, I am leaning heavily towards riding what's called the Ohio to Erie Trail. It's like a multi-use trail. I think it's 326 miles between Cincinnati and Cleveland.
Oh.
And a lot of it, maybe most of it, is a rail trail. So I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, and some of our riders that we talked to on the ride from Ohio definitely recommended this trail. So I know it comes highly, highly praised.
Yeah. If it ends up, we get to do it. There's a small group of us that are talking about it, and we'll do it self-contained. So
Ooh, cool.
I will, have all my gear on my bike, and I'm assuming I'll be taking all kinds of photos. But I'm pretty excited about it. So we're talking either the end of September or sometime in October, because the weather is actually pretty nice in Ohio as we get into the fall.
Sure. And I'm sure the fall colors are also spectacular out there.
I was thinking the same thing, that I want to go when the leaves are changing, so we can, what's it called? Leaf peeping? I want to do some leaf peeping.
Yeah, do plenty of leaf peeping, and make sure you also save a little time to watch my dog somewhere in there.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
But it sounds like a cool adventure. I'm always living vicariously through your many trips, your bike trips.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay, so we have some more rider recaps today, right?
Yes, we do. We have, I think we have 4 today.
Ooh. Okay, so tell me a little bit about who's on this week. I know we have even more fun people. We had 2 weeks already of rider recaps, but we saved some good ones for this episode.
Oh, gosh, yeah. All of them have just been fabulous. And when I re-listen, before we post them, I'm just all like, oh, my gosh, like the experiences that other people have. We're all doing the same event, but it's just so fun to hear how people do RAGBRAI and, things that were important to them and all that good stuff. So,
yeah.
Today we have Sarah, Patrick, Frederick, and Megan.
Ooh, I remember some of these from the ride. Why don't you give us a sneak peek about each person?
Okay. Sarah, she has an awesome story. This is an amazing story. She came from DC as a solo rider and had a few mishaps, which you'll hear about in a second. And those mishaps turned into like an amazing week of joining a team, making new lifelong friends, and she even got a tattoo with somebody that was a stranger before RAGBRAI started. So
that's amazing.
Awesome. I know.
That's so much about what RAGBRAI is all about. I love that.
I know, yeah. Okay, so then there's Patrick, which I think you remember Patrick.
How could I forget?
Yeah, we got to meet him, got a photograph with him, but he's from Omaha, and he shares a fun story about years and years and years ago. He got married on RAGBRAI, and there's even a YouTube video out there.
And we haven't found the YouTube video yet, but I'm gonna do my darndest to try to look it up.
Yeah, his story is amazing, because basically they get married on RAGBRAI and there are squirt guns involved.
It's so epic.
Okay, Frederick is next. He's from California, and RAGBRAI was part of his cross-country bike ride, which is pretty cool. He's raising money for an organization called Climate Ride, which I have done all kinds of research on that organization. It's a really cool nonprofit. So he's going to tell us about his journey, from California through RAGBRAI, and then he's on his way. He's continuing on.
Oh, that's so epic. I guess probably he didn't take up the free brick library guy on taking a brick if he's going all the way across the country.
You're right, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool.
And then finally, we have Megan, and you also should remember Megan. She's from Minnesota. She was on RAGBRAI with her family. It was her first RAGBRAI, and she's also a Swiftie. Do you know what a Swiftie is?
I believe that is a Taylor Swift fan.
Yeah, she is a huge Taylor Swift fan, and making bracelets and trading bracelets is part of being a Swiftie. So she made a bunch of bracelets that she gave out to people that she met, including me and you.
Megan, she's the best. We love Megan.
I know.
I wore my bracelet 24/7 for days, and I did take it off recently because I want to preserve it.
Yeah.
So, but I will be wearing it at every single RAGBRAI event going forward.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I put mine in a safe place so that I do not lose it or get it broken.
Yeah, they're so cute. And I think there was a picture of our wrists on social media wearing them, but believe me, there'll be more.
For sure. Yep.
Thank you, Megan. You're awesome. All right. Well, I love each and every one of these interviews. I cannot wait to hear them as a part of the podcast. Let's let her roll.
All right, let's get to it. Well, welcome to the podcast. Sarah, how are you doing, Sarah?
Oh, I'm doing amazingly. How are you?
I am good. We are just a few days out of RAGBRAI, and we talked a little bit before pushing record, but sounds like our recoveries are coming along very nicely.
Oh, yes. Lots of retroactive carbo loading, lots of cookies and ice cream, and really just trying to relive all of the foods that I ate at RAGBRAI, but just from my couch. So I think it's going great.
Perfect. Sounds perfect. Well, tell the listeners where you live now.
Yeah. So right now I live in Washington, D.C. So a little too far to bike there, but I did fly, and I flew into Omaha, and I did like a round trip from Omaha. So I started in Omaha, and then I also ended in Omaha, but I didn't bike back. I got a ride back.
Okay. And did you ship your bike or have your bike on the plane, or how did you get your wheels?
Yeah, so funnily enough, I only got my bike like 3 weeks before RAGBRAI.
Oh, wow.
Really bold. I'd never assembled a bike. I knew nothing about any of that. But I was recommended to get a new bike. I had a pretty old bike from REI, and some friends who know a lot more about bikes were like, either you or the bike will not make it through RAGBRAI, so maybe you should get something better. So I got an Orbea that was 85% off. It felt too good to be true. It wasn't too good to be true. It was great, but the catch was that it came completely disassembled with no instructions, and the only instructions I could find were in Spanish, and I don't speak Spanish. So I did a lot of Googling, a lot of YouTubing, and I kind of learned how to build and unbuild bikes, which was a fun lesson. And I deconstructed it and shipped it, or I guess checked it and flew with it. I guess now I'm kind of a pro at assembling and disassembling bikes, which was a silver lining I didn't know was going to come out of RAGBRAI. But the more you know.
And maybe next year, if we all run into you before, on day 0, we can be like, hey, can you help me figure out my bike?
Oh my gosh, I wish. That's the goal, to be one of those people who's biking down the road and stops and asks every single person on the side of the road if they're okay and if they need help.
Yeah,
One day that'll be me.
Yeah, and have the ability to actually help somebody. I've pulled over and just, am I really doing any benefit by just watching somebody else change a tire? Probably not.
Solidarity, though, it's like that was one of my favorite parts about RAGBRAI, honestly, was just like coming from biking in DC, which is like very city all the time, to being in Iowa. Like, people just ask if you're okay and ask if you need help, and it feels genuine, which was so nice. Like, day one, my derailleur was like just apparently on wrong, which, you can't really bike that far with your derailleur on wrong. So
Right.
I pulled over pretty quickly, and a man with like a bird on his shoulder named BB like pulled over, and he was like, "Do you need help?" And I was like, I think so. I didn't even know what was wrong. So while he helped me, like, the bird like sat on my shoulder, and I learned it's the bird's fourth RAGBRAI. So he's more of a veteran than most of us. And yeah, he's really used to it now. He just sits on Steve's shoulder, and they just go down hills at crazy paces, and they both know how to fix bikes. So yeah, they're like who I aspire to be one day in the RAGBRAI community.
And if you're going to have a breakdown, I mean, what better than to have somebody who's famous on RAGBRAI? I mean, Steve and BB, they actually have an episode on this podcast, so we'll share that in the notes. And while I was interviewing Steve, he's all like, "Well, BB's in the other room, but hopefully, the bird will make an appearance." And then it was as if it was on cue. The bird flew over and started squawking into the microphone, and then flew away. It was perfect.
Gosh.
So
I had no idea they were such RAGBRAI celebrities. That's amazing.
It's pretty cool. So lucky you.
I know. Good first day.
Yeah. Well, tell us, you have a good story, you have a good story about who you rode with and how you rode. So tell us.
Yeah. So I guess to start, I was very much aware that I was in over my head coming to RAGBRAI. I knew no one, and I only learned how to ride a bike like 3 years ago. So yeah. So really just jumping in. I was like, I have so many years of missed biking to make up for. I should probably take a week of PTO and just bike. So I kind of signed up for the adventure not knowing anyone. And one kind of loose friend had done a couple days of it last year. And he just kind of was briefly talking about it, not even really trying to sell us, because I think he just stopped halfway through. But I was like, wait, that sounds so fun. Like, I want to do that. So I cast a wide net. I told all of my friends, I was like, you guys should do it with me. And everyone would heart react to the messages when I would send them in group texts. But they all thought I was kidding about this thing. They were like, this sounds so crazy. Like, surely she's just being funny. So then when it actually came to signing up, I realized I was the only one that had actually signed up and was actually doing it. But I kind of wanted to do something by myself. I have never really been a solo traveler, and it's been like a bucket list item. So I thought, what better way to put myself out of my comfort zone than around a bunch of strangers that I have something kind of inherently in common with. We have this shared interest. So even though I'm by myself, there's a lot of common ground and hopefully a lot of potential to make new friends.
Right.
That's really all I knew. It was a combination of that mantra I'd been telling myself, and then also just going on Reddit a lot and reading a lot of forums about what to expect. So that was my preparation. I showed up to the parking lot on the first day 22 minutes late, which is only relevant because I didn't realize that the luggage buses left at exactly 8 a.m. I thought it was island time. I was like, I'm sure they'll be there. It's the first day, everyone's figuring it out. No, I get there with my big backpack and my duffel of my tent and just camping equipment. And I'm like, oh, where's the bus? And they're like, ma'am, the bus is gone. And I was like, oh no, RAGBRAI's canceled. What am I going to do? So I guess I looked pretty distraught. This man came up to me in the high school parking lot that I had Ubered to. And he was like, ma'am, this is Iowa. Just go ask around. Someone will help you. And coming from DC, where that is just simply not the mindset you have in a parking lot of strangers. I was like, I don't think that I should just be going up to strangers and asking them to
carry my luggage.
I'm never going to see it again. And also I might die. But he was like, it's different. Go. So I had my bike. I had a lot of sadness in my eyes because I was like, I don't think that I'm going to be able to do RAGBRAI. And I made it all the way to Iowa, and I missed the bus. So I did a lap, and I was like, just who looks the nicest, who looks the most friendly. And it was hard because there were just like a lot of really nice looking people in this parking lot. But I picked like this group of people that just seemed like extremely laid back and chill, like they weren't about to start going, because I didn't want to hold anyone up. And I like gave myself a pep talk, like did a few more laps, and then finally went up to them and was like, hello, I come in peace. If I pay you however much money you would like, could I please put my bag in your trailer? And like, would you be comfortable bringing it to like the destination for tonight? Like, then I'll take it out of your trailer, be out of your hair, like you never have to talk to me again. Like, I'll pay you however much you want. And then the main guy, whose name ended up being Mark, he was like, absolutely not. Like, we don't want your money. Just like throw your bag in, have a beer. I was like, it's 8 a.m. But honestly, like, I need a beer. Like that sounds really nice. So, yeah, I took him up on both offers, and, you know, we get to the end campsite that night, and they texted me and been like, we set up your tent.
Aww.
So I hung out with them that night, and they were so lovely. And in the morning I was like, oh, you know, like, thank you guys so much. Like, this was so sweet. And I was, you know, packing up my stuff to go take it to the luggage truck. And they were like, wait, like, why don't you just like, you should just be in our group from now on. Like, just bike with us. Like, we'll carry your stuff. Like, we can be a team. And I was like, this is the nicest thing ever. I just like, I felt like so happy in that moment, because I really had just taken such a gamble coming here, not knowing anyone. And I lucked out. I met like literally like a family. They were, I mean, they're not biological, but like just in terms of like how connected we all got by the end of the trip. Like, I cried so much when I said goodbye to them. And it was just like, that was omen number one, that like things were going to be good. So I said, yes, please. That sounds great. And then I get on the road the second day, and like, lo and behold, I'm biking. And I had just moved like a year ago to DC from North Carolina, where I was in grad school, and I was biking and I saw someone with like a North Carolina jersey. So I was like trying to be in the RAGBRAI spirit. I bike up to him and I'm like, oh, are you from North Carolina? And like, lo and behold, he's from a town like 5 miles away from like where I went to school. So we start chatting, and 8 hours later, we're still chatting. Like, just like rode together the whole day. His name is Don, and he's 70, and he just retired. This is his first RAGBRAI. He kind of also came by himself. And like, throughout the course of the week, we became like riding besties. Like, most days we would ride together the whole day. We would talk. We like learned everything about each other, and it was just such an unlikely friendship. But on the second to last day, like, we were going into the lunch town, and we were at this point like pretty decently well acquainted with each other. And like, he calls me and leaves me this voicemail that's like, Sarah, I'm making a life-altering decision. Like, call me back immediately.
Oh gosh.
And I was like, oh no, he's gonna drop out. Like, because he had been like a little tired. I was like, okay, like I'm about to like have to say goodbye to him. I was like getting into that mode. So I call him back, and he's like, I'm getting a tattoo. Like, you should come.
Oh, no way. No way.
I was like, Dawn, what? He's like, yeah, I'm at the tattoo parlor now. So I go over, and then lo and behold, we end up getting matching bicycle tattoos.
What?
Just on a whim.
Are you serious? Like, real tattoos?
Yeah, real tattoos. Yeah, everyone was like, wow, that's so funny. You guys got temporary tattoos. So I was like, no.
Oh my gosh. And you said this gentleman, and this gentleman is 70?
Mm-hmm. Isn't that crazy? He just decided it was time to do RAGBRAI, and I have so much respect for him, because, as you know, it was the hilliest one yet. But he was honestly smoking me a lot of the time, because I admittedly didn't do a ton of training, but he's in a riding group. Like, he goes on hill rides every week. Like, we were both keeping each other afloat. Like, it was definitely like we were both helping each other. But yeah, just like such an unlikely friendship on the last day. Like, we both like said a very like sentimental, teary-eyed goodbye to each other, and made plans to see each other again. So either I'll go down to North Carolina and we'll go on a ride together, or he and his wife will hopefully come visit me in DC and we'll do some riding up here. But yeah, just the most unlikely but like beautiful friendships all around, and all through complete chance encounters. And I think that's the thing about RAGBRAI that just strikes me the most is how like serendipitous it all was.
Sure.
And yeah, I just feel so lucky.
And how about that tattoo? Any regrets?
No, everyone was like, that's bold to do that. Like, it's on my ankle, which is like, famously like where bike shoes like rub against. So I was like, we'll see. But yeah, she healed perfectly. And now I have a fun bike tattoo on my ankle. And whenever I look at it, I don't know, I feel like it represents a lot. Like, it represents our friendship, obviously, but also like, it's never too late to learn how to do a new thing. Like 5 years ago, I would never, like, if you told me I would do anything, like if you told me I'd ride a mile on a bike 5 years ago, I would have laughed and been like, that's absurd. And now, like, just casually going across Iowa. I mean, it wasn't that casual, but like just how much can change in 5 years, and like the power of like getting rid of self-limiting beliefs and just going for stuff. Like, it really, I don't know. I was just very moved that day. And yeah, I'm not the most impulsive person normally, but I feel like RAGBRAI just really brought that out in me. So now it's forever.
I love it. I love it. And after experiencing the week, and well, we should give a shout out to that team that took you under their wing. Do you have like any names or a shout out?
Oh my gosh, yes. I think I would be remiss if I didn't, because they were the ones who encouraged me to come on this podcast to begin with. So I am going to try to remember everyone's names. But big shout out to our van dad, John, and our trailer mom, Megan, for keeping us safe and sane and fed and pitching our tents and taking such good care of us the whole time. And to our team leader, Mark, for, just making it such an inclusive space where we all felt like we could be ourselves and become such good friends in such a short period of time. And then also to all of my riding buddies, Andrew and Dawn and Jody and Marco and Mara and Sam and other Sarah. I can't imagine what RAGBRAI would have been like without y'all. So happy to know you and to call y'all friends. Hopefully we're all going to be on a team together next year. By the end of the trip, we were brainstorming like team names and t-shirts and like when we're going to be reunited. So like I think we're having a reunion in September and another one in October. And
wow.
I just feel like I met like just the truly like most kind-hearted, like welcoming, inclusive people. Like they've been checking up on me since I got back, like making sure like the adjustment back to real life is going okay. And I was like, wow, I like didn't know like I could possibly meet like such like wonderful people and connect with them so much in 7 days. But I don't know, biking just brings out, like, I think it just brings people really close together. I don't know if that's a common RAGBRAI like sentiment, but it just feels like it's so easy to be vulnerable and open when it's just you and cornfields and many miles to go.
Right. And when it's really all you have to do is get on your bike and ride and, eat and sleep and then do it all again. So you like, it's interesting, that friendship that you've developed with both Dawn and the team is like, even if you don't see each other for a year, when you guys meet up next July, you'll pick up exactly where you left off, as if nothing else has happened. And I love that dynamic of the bicycle world. Like, there may be people that I have no idea if they what they do for a living, how long they've been biking, but I will know everything about their bicycle and how they get up hills and what their favorite food is and if they like pie, like all of that good stuff. So
the important stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm so glad that you had a great experience, and it sounds like you're going to come back again.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think I solidly caught the RAGBRAI bug. So hopefully I run into you on the road next time too.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Sarah, thank you so much for what a great story. I love this. It's such a feel-good story. So thank you for sharing it with all of Just Go Bike World.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here, and good luck with the rest of your interviews.
All right. Thank you. Welcome to the podcast, Pat. How's it going, Pat?
Thanks a lot. Murph, just fine. Everything's good.
Good. Yeah, it's been about a week since RAGBRAI's been over. Are you in full recovery mode yet?
I think so. Some people say, aren't you still tired or muscles sore? I said, no, my muscles never really were sore. They were a little tired,
Yeah.
but never really sore.
Yeah, I agree. I wasn't really ever sore, but my brain was definitely in need of a nap or two.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Well,
Yeah,
go ahead.
no, I just going to say sometimes, some nights it was tough to sleep because of trains or motorcycles running up and down the road next to our camp.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
It wasn't so bad though. I had my earplugs and, I usually slept okay.
Well, tell the listeners where you're from or where you grew up or if you have any Iowa ties.
Well, I'm from Omaha, Nebraska, and I do have some Iowa ties. I know a lot of people from Council Bluffs, and the crew that I go with, Lost and Found Adventures, they're from Council Bluffs. That's where they're based in. And they used to be known as the Potawatomi Peddlers because they were from Potawatomi County. And so that was years ago because I started. The first RAGBRAI I did was in 1987.
Oh, wow.
And that was RAGBRAI 15. Now I've done 13 total, but I missed a few years in there. And so Potawatomi Peddlers were who I went with in 87, and it was Potawatomi Peddlers up through the 90s. And then I did 2001, 2001 and 2002. But I hadn't been back since 2002.
Well, what made you decide to come back this year?
Well, because I guess every year I think about it and I really, really missed it because it was almost so much fun. And I always missed it. And so my wife said, hey, why don't you just do it next year? Because, you've got the vacation time. We can swing it. So I said, hey, okay, fine, I'll do it. I bought a Wahoo Kicker indoor trainer. And my wife bought me a year subscription to Zwift. And so I was working out on Zwift with my indoor trainer since about December. And that was fun. Fun and challenging. Oof. Sometimes really challenging.
Yeah. And you can definitely simulate hills and such when you are in a Zwift game.
You certainly can. I learned that in a hurry.
Well, you wrote in a kind of a fun story. So will you kind of give us some highlights, like something memorable that happened to you on RAGBRAI this year?
Well, I got a couple stories. First of all, in Lacona, which was on Wednesday, I came in, I think I had some pie, and then I walked up to this grassy hill, and I saw some RAGBRAI folks shoot baskets with some high school kids there, and I thought, well, what's going on? So I watched for a little while, and some of the folks, they were trying to shoot the basket, but they were missing terrible. So I thought, okay, I'll give it a shot. So I walked up to him and I said, so what goes on? So one of the kids told me, he said, okay, we're raising money for our high school basketball team for jerseys, I think he said. And so we're going to challenge you to a free throw contest. Now, if we beat you, you need to donate money to our cause. And I said, okay. And he says, now, if you beat us, we'll drop and give you 10 push-ups, all 5 of us.
Ooh, okay.
And so I said, okay, fine. And this was on grass, so I'm dribbling the ball while I'm warming up, and it doesn't bounce very well on the grass. But anyway, I got 2 free throw warm-up shots. I missed both of them. It was like terrible. I thought, oh, this is great. So he handed me the ball and said, okay, here's your 3. So I stopped, took a breath, took a shot, boom, hit the first one.
Whoa.
So, yeah. And so I got the ball back, bounced a couple of times, looked up at the basket, take a breath, boom, and hit the second one. And then boom, I hit the third one, all 3. I hit all 3 free throws, and I couldn't believe it. No, it's been a long time since I did any, basketball and shoot baskets. It's been a long time. And so I said, okay, I picked now. If you do, when you shoot, you got to pick one of them that will shoot against you. So I picked one of them, and boom, he hit the first one, swish. And I said, oh, this is going to be. He shot the second one. It almost went in and it bounced out. Oh. And so all 5 of them dropped and gave me 10 push-ups.
Wow.
Which was, now they said I was the second one that beat them all day. And I was in kind of late. And so I felt kind of proud about it. And I don't know which one I was more surprised at, whether I was more surprised at the fact that I hit all 3 or that they didn't. I'm not sure which one.
Right.
And I don't think they muffed that shot. I think he did try. I did, but I did give them a donation anyway, regardless.
Oh, good.
So,
well,
yeah.
and I'm
I
surprised.
didn't want to embarrass them and then not give them a donation.
Right. Well, and I'm surprised that they only had to do push-ups twice. If only 2 people made the shots.
Well, yeah, that's true. And I'm sure that somebody else came along and did the same. I would think, not just me and some other guy. I don't know how long ago it had been before me that they got beat by somebody else. I'm not sure, but they said I was the second one so far. So I was kind of proud of that, I guess.
For sure, yeah. And they still got a donation from you, so it was
They
like
did.
a win-win.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. And they were having fun with it, and then I took a picture with the 5 of them after that. I had to. So, and I know I'm 6'4", and there was only one of them that was about as tall as me. So I towered over most of them. So,
well, I was going to say, if it was like a dunking contest, it sounds like at 6'4" you had an advantage.
But not with my bike shoes on. There's no way.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, you're right.
Maybe with some good tennis shoes on, maybe. But
yeah.
Not with my bike shoes. No way. and later on, I'll tell you another quick basketball story. There was one of the towns had Caitlin Clark's 3-point line laid out, and they said they challenged you to make one of those. I couldn't even make it to the basket, let alone get it in.
Oh, wow.
That was on Friday, I think. I was kind of tired, so I tried, but forget it. I made it. I didn't even make it to the basket. It was so bad.
Well, I remember that the Caitlin Clark one, and I watched for I don't know, maybe 5 minutes or so, and I didn't see anybody make it. So you were not alone on that one.
I suppose not, but boy, that's a long distance. I looked up at that basket and said, "Wow, this is a lot further than those free throws I had to shoot."
Well, thank goodness they weren't going to make you do push-ups. You know what I mean? If you missed them.
Ooh, that's true. I would have been lucky to get one out.
Well, overall, what was your take on RAGBRAI this year?
It was good. It was a lot of fun. The hills, I was a little bit maybe not scared, but the pre-ride that you guys did, the 22 hill, I think, oh my gosh, really? But really, they weren't that bad. There were some that were pretty steep, but not bad. The only 2 that really were, oh my gosh, they were killers, were the ones I had to climb after we dipped our tires. Oh my gosh, those 2 hills that I had to go to my camp. Oh my gosh, those were so bad. And then I got to my camp, and then I forgot that I didn't ride Snake Alley, and I was already dressed down and had my bike apart. So I forgot, so I didn't do it. But one other RAGBRAI I did. We went down Snake Alley. I don't remember when it was. Another time when we ended up in Burlington, probably in the 90s sometime. I don't remember when.
So I biked up Snake Alley, but I've never biked down it. I don't know. I would almost be more fearful of the down than the up.
I think I seem to remember it was a little moist too. It had been raining early in the day, so we had to be really careful too. Oh,
for sure. Wow. Well, any favorites along the week, whether it's towns or people or food?
Sure. I tell you what, Atlantic was so surprising. It was, man, gosh, that town is so hilly. Oh my gosh. I rode from camp to get something to eat, and I was wearing street shoes, and I have some pedals there, cleats on one side and flat on the other side.
Oh, yep. Mm-hmm.
So I can run my street shoes. But I really missed my cleats when I was trying to climb those hills. Oh my gosh. Atlantic was hilly. Mount Pleasant was my favorite. Actually, going to Mount Pleasant was my favorite ride because that was on my anniversary. Oh. My wife and I got married in Emmitsburg in '93 on RAGBRAI.
Oh, really?
So that was our anniversary, and I have a T-shirt that I bought 31 years ago. That I still wear. And some artist did some custom airbrushing on the back, and it says, RAGBRAI Wed, and it shows my anniversary at the bottom. And I had a lot of people say, "Hey, happy anniversary!" So they saw me with the shirt on. So that was fun.
And you actually got married on RAGBRAI?
Yes, in Emmitsburg in '93. We wrote letters to all the overnight towns to see what their reaction would be, how they would welcome it and all.
Yeah.
And we got the best response from Emmitsburg, so we decided to go there. And the priest there the minister at the Methodist Church, him and his wife rode a tandem, and they did the across Wisconsin ride. So they were regular riders as well.
Oh, what a fun story. Yeah.
That was perfect. And we punked our wedding guests, because we bought a bunch of little squirt guns before we left town and had our wedding party, hand them out outside so that people could squirt us when we come out. They didn't know we were going to be armed with these big super soakers. When we came out, we slaughtered them. They were wrapped up like wedding gifts from our parents. We told the truck driver to be really careful with these packages because they're from our parents and we're not supposed to open them until after we're married, right? And then when our truck driver found out what those were, he said, I was so careful with those packages. And they were squirt guns. So.
Oh my God, that is such a great story.
And that's on YouTube. I'm not sure if you wanted to take a note and look for the YouTube video, but that's out on YouTube. That's pretty fun to watch. Let's see, what else? I really enjoyed Minneapolis with the inflatable bananas. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
I wanted to take one of those home.
Yeah.
I wanted to steal one of those, and my wife would say, "What are you doing with this thing?" I don't know. I'll hang it outside on the flagpole or something,
Right.
I really wanted one of those.
I thought that too. I'm like, that would be so cool to have at home until you'd have it at home, and then you'd be like, why do I have this? What?
Yeah, exactly right. And now another story about Ottumwa. Another story. I was out on the road, and my rear derailleur was not shifting right. I had trouble with it. It would shift like into the next higher gear as I was climbing mountain or climbing the hills, and I did not want that. And so I got into town, got into camp, turned the bike upside down, and I was going through the gears just to check it out. And pow, my rear shift cable broke.
Oh.
It was frayed really bad up in the shift lever, and I didn't know that.
Oh.
And it broke in camp, luckily, because Rob, one of our charter members for Lost and Found, he had tools with him. He said, "Go get a shift cable down at the expo, and I'll fix it for you." And he did. Right. I went to the expo to get the shift lever, and he had it fixed in 20 minutes, and I was back on the road. Good thing it didn't happen out on the road.
Yeah, in the middle of the road. Would that have made it a single speed, or would that have made it not even able to pedal?
It would have, because when the derailleur broke, of course, where the cable broke, the derailleur went clear up into the highest cog on the on the cassette.
Oh man!
So it would have been ninth gear all the way.
Yeah.
Up those hills. Oh boy, I don't know. I don't know if I could handle that.
I was gonna say it happened at the right time. If it was gonna have to happen.
It certainly did.
Yeah, good. Well, any advice you would give somebody who maybe is thinking about doing RAGBRAI after hearing the stories?
Oh, I would say, put in as many training miles as you can. Make sure that you include hills, of course. And when you're out on the road and you're climbing and you get those hills that are sometimes steep, just ride with the group. Don't push yourself. Don't push hard. Give yourself plenty of time. Find a gear that's comfortable for you. And before you get out on RAGBRAI, make sure you know how to shift your bicycle and you know how to adjust your gears for the terrain. That's really important. Make sure you pay attention to your cadence and all of that, and just, know your bicycle. I guess that's the biggest piece of advice I'd have for anybody. Make sure you know your bicycle and you know how to shift, and you know how to steer, you know how to ride in a group and what to watch out for. Make sure you keep plenty of distance from the person in front of you if you're riding, because I've seen too many times, I've seen people take out somebody's front wheel because the person behind is following too close.
Right. And riding with all those other people, especially when most of them are strangers, is a completely different ballgame than when you're just, riding on the trail by yourself.
That's true. Or riding even with people that you know.
Yeah.
Because sometimes how they are going to react to certain things. And, if you're flying down a hill, find a spot find a line to hold that line. Don't swerve over to the left or right. One year when I was going into Guttenberg on the first ride in 87, I had a guy, we were going down to the river, right? It was the last day, the last hill, and it was super long and bendy, and you could not see ahead because there were trees on the side. And there was a guy up a side in the other lane coming up, and I saw an ambulance coming up, and I yelled, "Car up!" And he tried to get over, hit the crack, and went down and slid. Luckily, he slid off of the road and onto the shoulder because, that was terrible. That bam! And I tried to stop to help him, but I had to get over to the shoulder, and it was all rock. And I was going so fast. I tried to stop, and I did stop, but I was able to help to help him and check him out. Then I got down into into Guttenberg, and my brake brake cable popped off.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wait, so you wouldn't have had brakes?
I wouldn't have had brakes if that had happened on the hill. It would have been tough to stop. Yeah, it would have been real tough to stop.
Wow. And that's
So that
all
happened at the right time.
such great advice. AP and I say that all the time on the podcast, to be predictable when you're riding your bike, because it's not just you out on the road. So
No,
very
that's for
good
sure.
advice. Yeah.
That's for sure. And by the way, the church lasagna is always my favorite food, and the peach pie.
I never had church lasagna. I wanted to, and I also didn't get a walking taco, and I really wanted that too. But
I didn't do that. I did the Euro bowls, which were really good.
ooh, yeah, there was
one of the Euro vendors.
Yeah, I never went hungry this year. That's for sure.
I didn't either. I think it was in St. Charles where I got Chris cakes, and then as I was walking down toward my bike, where it was leaning, of course, my bike. Where's my bike? There's so many of them. Did I put it over here? Over here? Over here?
Yeah.
But I did find it, and I went by a place they were serving chicken and noodles, and I thought, oh my gosh, I just ate pancakes. Should I do that too? And I did.
You pedaled
but they were so good.
Yeah, I was going to say, you pedaled it off, and I mean, where else can you do
sure
that?
Did. That's correct. You eat whatever you want, or more or less anything you want.
That's right. Well, Pat, thank you so much for sharing your story, and happy anniversary. I think you said 31 years. That's awesome.
31 years.
That's a great,
Yep, 31 years.
Great story to tell. So thanks for being on the podcast.
Thank you.
Well, next up on the podcast is Frederick. Hey, Frederick.
Hi, Murph.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing excellent. Another day, and just enjoying a bike ride.
Awesome. And you are doing something a little bit different than most of us RAGBRAI riders. We finished the week and got home, did our laundry, maybe took a nap, and you kept going, didn't you?
Yes. I started in California about 52 days ago, and I've been making my way out to Virginia, and RAGBRAI just happened to be in the middle of the route.
So you have to tell us about your RAGBRAI experience, and then I want to hear about your cross-country experience. But what was RAGBRAI like for you?
So this was my first RAGBRAI, and it was a lot of everything. It's just a lot of mixed emotions, all positive. And I'm looking to return again.
Oh, that's good.
I've never had such a wonderful, heartwarming experience.
And probably a nice break from riding across America. I don't know if you're doing it solo or with a group.
I am doing this solo for a fundraising event.
Oh, tell us about that.
So the organization I'm fundraising for is Climate Ride out of Missoula, Montana. And I have two beneficiaries, the Yosemite Conservancy and the National Parks Conservation Association. Climate Ride is basically bringing environmental awareness and active transport support for nonprofits around the United States. So I decided, hey, this looks like a challenge. I could do it on my own pace, and I'm doing it after 4 years of planning.
Oh, man. And you said you are about 52 days in?
Yes,
and
that is correct.
Do you have an end date scheduled, or are you kind of just going with the flow?
I'm going with the flow because I had some great advice about being flexible. And so I'm hoping to end sometime maybe end of September.
Oh, wow. So you're on one heck of a journey.
Yes.
And when you did RAGBRAI, were you self-supported? Did you have all your gear with you?
I had all of my gear with me, and interesting enough, the first few hours while I was riding in the group, I kept hearing bagger, and I had no clue what was going on. But apparently I'm in that elite group of being self-supported and carrying all my gear now.
Well, welcome to the group. I have been a bagger for a long time. I did not bag out this year, or I did not carry all my gear this year just because of all the hills. But you obviously were successful because you've continued beyond Iowa.
Yes.
Any memorable moments that you can tell us about while you were on RAGBRAI?
The amazing memorable moment is every town, all of the residents just coming out and cheering you on. That welcoming feeling it's just such a positive vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Each town had something to offer, and many of the residents took time to talk, which at a slower pace is the most amazing thing. And so I take that for a win.
I agree. The towns really stepped it up. A lot of those towns were just a few hundred people as far as population, and they welcomed all, 20,000 of us.
Yes.
When you talk about being self-supported or being a bagger, are you explain how you carry all your gear from California to the East Coast? Because we're probably talking maybe all 4 seasons of weather happen throughout your journey.
It has been ironic to be fundraising for an environmental cause, and I'm just carrying whatever I can.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm making smart decisions to shelter when I can. I have no experiences with tornadoes, so as soon as I hear a warning, I'm like, I need to find a building or something.
Right.
But I've kind of just thrown whatever gear that I've had accumulated over the years and hoped for the best, to be honest. I am such a novice traveling across the country.
Well, by day 52, though, you are way ahead of the curve. You've probably nailed down your processes.
Yes, I have.
You said you would come back and do RAGBRAI again?
I would. And I would because I spent time with a RAGBRAI rider throughout the remainder of the week. So I've made a friend for life.
Mm.
It was interesting because I got a perspective from an Iowan, a farmer. And he had been to RAGBRAI, I believe, 7 other times.
Ah.
So it was nice to have the experience being taught to somebody that's new. I think that will be the success for future RAGBRAI. The word of mouth,
Mm-hmm.
the positive experiences, and just the down home type of welcoming attitude that the state has. So I know I'm coming back. I will do whatever I can to come back, at least within next year, the year after,
Yeah.
maybe after that.
Awesome. And I'm smiling big, even though I'm on a podcast. You can't see it, but I'm very proud to be an Iowan, and I love it when people like yourself come here and see what Iowa Nice is all about, and just how great of a state we live in.
Yes, I'm glad to help promote that pride, because I tell you, people have to see it. People have to come out here and see it. And it's such a huge bicycle community too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That is great.
Yeah. Well, okay, so you're now, I can kind of hear background noise, so I'm guessing you're in your home right now, which is outside biking across America. But
yes.
Where do you call home when you're not on a bike adventure?
I'm a resident of Fremont, California. So I'm just in the San Francisco Bay Area.
So once you hit the East Coast, then are you going to ride your bike back, or are you going to figure out how to get back to California?
I'm going to be taking the train back.
Oh, cool. That's another great way to see the country.
Yes, and I'm trying to do this whole fundraising event in the most sustainable way possible. So,
So, Climate Ride is the organization that you are working with on your fundraiser. Do you have a
yes.
personal fundraising page that we could promote?
You can go to climateride.org, and there will be a page where it will mention Coast to Coast 2024, and you can read up on basically the whole journey. And if you can, a donation would help. Any little bit helps.
And I am on that website page right now, and there's all kinds of great photos of you and your journey and ways to support you. So this is great. And Climate Ride itself is an amazing entity doing great things for the world.
Yes, I've been supporting them for 5 years, and I decided, hey, I'm going cross country. Go big or go home.
That's right. Well, I'll tell you on behalf of all the RAGBRAI riders, we're cheering you on to make it to the other side of the country. And thanks for participating in RAGBRAI.
Thank you for having me, and I look forward to doing this again in the future.
All right. We'll see you next year on RAGBRAI.
Awesome. Thank you. Take care.
A warm welcome to Megan. Hi, Megan.
Hi, Murph. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. I'm pretty sure you're the same Megan that I met on RAGBRAI this year.
That's right. Yes, I made some bracelets for you guys.
Oh, yes. So we put those on the Instagram page or maybe even Facebook. I can't remember, but it says, JustGoBike. So JGB and then my name Murph. And then AP has one that says AP, and we wore them the rest of the week.
That was pretty cool to see. I did see your post. It was actually my mom that saw the post.
Yeah.
And she showed me, she said, Megan, you're famous. So I thought that was pretty cool. Seeing my bracelets on the RAGBRAI page.
Yeah, and I think we also put a photo of you with a handful, like a big handful of bracelets. So I'd love to know the story behind that.
I did make a lot of bracelets for RAGBRAI. I think my final count was about 200.
Wow.
Give or take bracelets that I made. I got the idea. I'm a huge Swiftie. So that's where I got the bracelet idea from. And so I just made a whole bunch for RAGBRAI to give out. I was really excited because this was actually my very first RAGBRAI.
Oh.
So I made so many. I made some that just had cute little bike terms. I made a few that said rumble or on your left or things like that. A lot of them said RAGBRAI LI, that were the blue and orange RAGBRAI colors. I even made a couple that had the Century Day loop on it, that I handed out to people while we were doing the Century Loop on Friday. So it was a lot of fun. I think people were kind of surprised when I would ask, do you want a bracelet? But a lot of people thought it was pretty cool. So I thought it was a pretty fun project.
Oh, yeah. And a fun way to meet people.
Yeah, I even wrote on my little name tag on my bike. I said, ask me for a friendship bracelet. So I did get a couple people that read it and asked me for one. So I thought it was pretty cool, and it started a lot of new conversations. I even made there were a couple more that did say JustGoBike on it without names. So there are a couple lucky RAGBRAI participants that have some JustGoBike bracelets too.
Ooh, that'll be fun if maybe next year AP and I will be wearing ours, and those cyclists will also have theirs on.
Yeah, I did keep one for myself too. If I see you guys next year, which hopefully I will, hopefully we'll be wearing them.
Oh, good. So how did you decide, besides the people that, saw your note that said, ask me for a friendship bracelet, like how did you figure out who was deserving of one of your masterpieces?
I just went on vibes. I would just kind of talk to people, and I would just usually somewhere in the conversation offer to give them one. I met all kinds of people, all kinds. So pretty much gave one to most people I would talk to, I would say. I didn't carry all of them with me all at once. I couldn't fit them all in my bike bag. I had maybe between like 30 and 40 with me at a time.
Cool. And you said that this was your first RAGBRAI?
Yes, this is my very first RAGBRAI. I actually just got into cycling this year too. I got into it because my brother is a cyclist. He did his very first RAGBRAI last year. So he roped me into it, and I'm glad that he did because I loved it.
Yeah, I was going to say, tell us about your experience. Like, what is it that you enjoyed about riding across Iowa?
I loved a lot of things about it. I found out this year, I guess, that I really have grown to like cycling a lot. I really loved meeting new people, and giving out my bracelets was a big part of my experience in meeting all those people. I loved going through all the pass-through towns. I knew RAGBRAI was going to be a lot of fun, but I had no idea the amount of kindness and generosity from all of the people in the pass-through towns. Having 15,000 people riding through your town on their bikes is kind of a big change for a lot of those people. But I did not expect the amount of kindness that these people would have. They were so nice.
Yeah, definitely. And you said your brother did it for the first time last year. So were you riding with him this year, or like tell us who you rode with?
I was riding with my brother for a little bit at least. He is a bit faster than me, so we would kind of stay together the first part of the day, and then usually he would leave me in the dust later on. I also rode with my dad, it was his first time doing RAGBRAI as well. So I rode with him for a little bit as well. And I would also just kind of ride with people I meet along the way. Like I said, I met so many nice people.
And where do you call home when you are not on RAGBRAI?
I'm from Rosemount, Minnesota.
Oh, okay. So you guys probably drove to the start.
Yes. My mom drove all of us to the start, and she was also our support driver throughout the experience as well. So big shout out to my mom for carrying our stuff, helping us along the way.
And then how did you do RAGBRAI as far as sleeping? Were you camping, or were you homestays, or how did that work?
We were camping. I liked the campgrounds. They were all, I was pretty impressed with how nice they were, especially Mount Pleasant, that last one. So I had a very good experience. I think the weather was pretty nice. It wasn't super hot where we couldn't sleep.
Yeah. Any favorites as far as food?
I had a lot of good food on RAGBRAI. I think my favorite would have been the stir fry. That I don't remember which booth it was. It was in Ottumwa though that I had that stir fry. It was so good, and I thought about it until Saturday.
And then, first RAGBRAI, sometimes it's a little bit hard to figure out how to prepare for riding your bike for 7 days in a row. So did you feel like you trained enough?
I think so. I mean, I made it through, and I felt pretty good at the end. So I'm gonna count it as a success. I think the longest ride I did preparing for this was only 50 miles. And I did do the Century Loop, the full 100 miles on Friday. So it was a little bit difficult. I was definitely putting in the work that day. But I would say I prepared pretty adequately. I definitely had a lot of fun, and I definitely got a newfound respect for people who are Ironman triathletes. Yeah. I could never imagine running a whole marathon after all 100 of those miles.
Yes, exactly. Well, any advice you would give to somebody listening right now who's like, I think I want to try RAGBRAI?
I think they should definitely do it. You don't have to wait till next year. Don't put it off. Do it this year. You'll be ready. You'll never be the slowest one either.
That's right. That is right. And it's not a race, so you can do RAGBRAI however you want to.
Yep, it's just supposed to be a nice, relaxing ride. I was a little bit worried that maybe I wouldn't be ready or I wouldn't be fast enough and wouldn't fit in, but that really wasn't the case. I'm just a regular cyclist. I'm not a speedy professional or anything like that, and I felt I fit right in.
Megan, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, and I was lucky enough to meet you and your whole family, which was awesome. And hopefully I'll see you again next year.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'll look for you guys next year, maybe with some new bracelets.
Hey, that's awesome.
Thanks for tuning in to the Just Go Bike podcast. Murph and AP will be back next week. In the meantime, check us out on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and X, formerly known as Twitter. And if you would like to contact Murph and AP with a comment about the podcast, or maybe you have a topic in mind, email them at justgobikepodcast@gmail.com. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast, especially if you're a fan. Until next time,
Just go bike.
Theme song by Ryan Steer, logo by Suzanne Milosevic, produced by Kathy Murphy, social media by Andrea Parrott, intro by Pumpkin. Until next time, just go bike.